plays every song, studio time. It's 10 minutes into the 10 o'clock hour. I'd like to welcome you to a special interview session with architect Tonye Cole. He is the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC. You would recall the last time he was here, he mentioned it on air that we had unresolved matters. As he could sense, I still had questions that were bothering me and I had to give it out. But he promised he'll be back. I guess he kept his promise to me and to you. Good morning, architect Tonye Cole.
Morning. Should I call you Spy Oma?
Spy Oma is good. I've been spying on you for some time. Well, thank you so much again for making our time to be here in the studio. How have you been?
We're good. Can't complain. Interesting days and interesting days ahead.
I should think that the stress is telling on you. The last time I saw you, I didn't quite notice so much gray hair.
Yeah, maybe I had a cap on then.
Okay, I should guess. Well, let's start with it again. How has the campaign been? You've told me how you were doing, but how has the campaign been?
It's been interesting. It's a different type of campaign this time around.
Why so?
Why? Because people are more interested in the issues around it. They're more interested in the individual who is running versus the party the individual is on. It's more interesting because people believe this time around that their votes would count, which means that the politicians have to pay particular attention to how the people feel and what they're telling them. And that's a turf that I'm a bit more comfortable in rather than just speaking for speaking's sake. So, big difference.
Okay, I noticed, just like I told you when you walked into the studio, I noticed you've been involved with a lot of youth engagement. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I've been seeing pictures and videos, and I've been in some of the events, but I've been spying on you, like quietly looking at you to observe things for myself. In youth events, are the youth your main focus in this campaign?
So youth, I've been engaging with youth for probably 20 years thereabouts, because first from a business perspective, I started under 30. I started a business under 30, so I understand what it means for a young person setting up a business and struggling with having nobody but your intuition, your innovation to push through. And then as I started getting older, I realized that a lot of youth they still had the passion, but they just required a direction, someone who has been down that road to point them there. And I also found out that one of the errors that I had made in my 20s was to ignore politics completely. And so now I feel it's even more important that young people are fully engaged in politics. So long way to say yes, they're my focus.
So you're thinking, let me see if what I'm thinking is what you're thinking.
Go ahead.
Youths in Rivers State are in their need of some level of concentration.
Their need, I would agree. Level of concentration, depending on where we're looking at it.
In all the sectors that youths need to...
Absolutely.
Is that it?
Absolutely. So youth want to be engaged, and engaged mentally, physically, spiritually. Maybe there's a lot of spiritual engagement already. Okay. But when you have unemployment at the level that we have, it is a problem. When you have an education base that has not given them the belief that they can do whatever they want, that's a problem. When then you don't have the opportunities that allow their talent to be expressed and get out, it's a problem. We need to be able to bring all of this to bear, and that is what we're about.
Do you have a plan for the level of youth restiveness currently in the state? Do you have a plan for it?
Absolutely.
If you emerge?
Absolutely. So restiveness comes from when you have so much inside of you and you have no way to express it. And how do you begin to give an avenue of expression? So they're basic low-hanging fruits, cultural issues. So when we were growing up, for example, within the local government and all of that, you had masquerades, you had cultural dances, you had cultural troops, you had local music and all of those things. Give that out an expression. First of all, that's even at the very basic level. You have sports, which is an area that so much energy needs to get out, just burn your energy out there. So give the facilities that allow sports right from schools and all of that, even in the communities, to come out. Then you have entertainment, music, dance, Nollywood, and all of those things. What you do across here, again, it's a talent-based expression of what people want to do. Then you have the whole digital space, people just innovating, just sitting down, coding, writing code, writing up programs, doing things on the internet, doing short skits and all of those things. All of these are expression areas. Now, for me, we have to put all of those things in play where they have an opportunity to come in and express themselves there. If you can do that, the first thing you do is that energy is dissipated in the right way, in constructive, productive manners, rather than just what we see.
Well, if you're just tuning in, this is Classic FM 91.1, the station that plays every song. The voice you have been listening to for the past 6 minutes has been that of architect Tonye Cole. He happens to be the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress, and he's here with me. So you can, feel free to field in your questions for him. On WhatsApp, it is 0704 4994-911. In due course, the phone lines will be open and I'll relate that accordingly. Moving on. Okay, so let me ask you, what is the main thrust of your aspiration to become the governor of Rivers State?
Okay, so the main thrust is to reposition Rivers State as the key, as the destination, the place to be for business, for living, for life, for socials. What you have today is that Rivers State is a distant second, third. People want to go to Lagos. The GDP between Lagos and Rivers State is 3 times. I think 6 times. So Lagos is around 41 billion. Rivers is around 7. So it's too wide. It's too wide. Where for every $100 that comes into Nigeria, if I remember the ratio, 97 or 96 goes to Lagos, 2 go to Abuja, and 1 goes to the rest, including Rivers, to the rest of Nigeria. It's just insane. And this cannot continue to happen. So for me, what we need to do is reposition Rivers State as a key destination. If you think about you wake up anywhere in Nigeria and you say, I'm a young person, I'm looking for where I will find a future, and I'm sure to find it. If I land there, the opportunity is there and I'll make it. Rivers State should be top on your mind, and that's where we really need to get to.
So you think Rivers is lacking?
It's lacking in that. It was, 30 years ago, if there were 2 places in Nigeria that people who were just coming out of school, or whether they just finished in secondary school and they were going to be traders and they wanted a place of opportunity, Rivers, Lagos. If they were youth corpers and they wanted a place of opportunity, Rivers and Lagos, they were competing neck to neck, the GDP neck to neck. So, and people would come in here if they were posted. Government workers were posted here through an APC or the NP and all of that. As soon as they landed here, they will buy a house, which is an investment. They will stay here, not just rent a house. They will look for how to buy land, build houses and all of that. Today, that doesn't happen. What you are finding is an exodus. Businesses are leaving. People don't want to come. And that's a challenge. We need to change that completely. We've done it before. We can do it again.
All right. Now, do you have a follow-up of that question? Do you actually have a public document like a manifesto that encapsulates your vision?
Absolutely. So it will be launched next week. So it's all ready. We should have launched it this week, but 1 or 2 things stopped it. So we will launch it next week.
Do you want to show a little bit of the tail of the cat out of the bag?
Yes, I can. That's not difficult. So first of all, for me, policy, manifestos, whatever we're doing, politics and all of that must be people-centered. And I've seen that just going through at NIPS when I was in Kuru, at Oxford, when I was looking at doing the transformational leadership, and just thinking that how do we make these things different? I found out that if you do not put the people at the center, that you really need to sit down and think about how every policy affects the person, and that person knows that it really affects them. So people-centered is where we begin. But then it stands on 3 legs. The first leg of it is on social welfare. Everybody must really feel a part. How do I feed today? How do I eat today? How do I eat tomorrow? How do I then continue to eat next year and next, and so on and so forth in the future? So the social welfare that makes a man or a woman feel like a human being is important. So let them feel human again. Then the next level of it is the law and order, or peace and security. Now, if you don't have peace and security, even if you have social welfare, without peace and security, you have a problem. Take an example. I get a call last night. One of my team members in church, from where I lead a team, called, says, Pastor, please pray for me. two of my late sister's children were leaving Kogi for Lagos, and there were kinetic and non-kinetic plans for security.
Okay.
On the kinetic, what you're doing basically is tanks, guns, men boots on the ground, arrests, lock-up, prisons, and all of that. It continues to fail.
You think?
It continues to fail for many, many reasons. You have to have a balance. You don't have enough prisons, you don't have enough soldiers, you don't have enough policemen, there's so many things you don't have enough of. And every time that you lose one policeman or you lose one soldier and all of that, years of training has gone away. You can replace equipment. You can replace guns easily, you can replace tanks and all of that, but human beings, human life, we have to really begin to think about that. And so where security has always worked is that you become the security. In other words, you see something, you stop it, you see something, you call. So we have to begin to feel that security is about us. I should be your security. What does the Bible say? Be your brother's keeper. That's really where security is. And that's the non-kinetic part of it. So we have to work on that. But the base of all of this is, how does technology help so that you don't have to put men and their lives in the front line all the time? And this has worked in as little a country as Rwanda, dealing with technology and cameras and lights and cameras and quick response and all. So we need to be able to work on that aspect of it. So the kinetic is important, but more importantly is that you and I must begin to feel that security is something that is critical to us. Case in point, every issue that happens outside of the metropolis and all, if I walk into any community whatsoever and all of that, I'm immediately identified that you are a stranger that has come into this community. Everyone knows. Which means that if I go into a community to commit a crime, the community knows almost immediately. Now, every kidnapping, every stealing, anything that you do outside of here, within communities, they know. They know where people are kept. The community knows when they see people moving through. They know when they're carrying people through bush paths and all of that. They know where camps are within the forest. So people know, but they don't feel that there's enough care for them to deal with it, to report it, to intervene in it. It's somebody else's problem. We now have to make security your problem and my problem.
All right, now you can call the studio line 0802-4000-911 or 0809-1121-911. Top of the day to you. Good morning, Classic FM. All right, we'll try to get that as fast as possible, but please, when you call, keep your questions simple. On WhatsApp, the number is 0704-4994-911. If you have questions for Architect Tonye Cole here with me in the studio, I'll take the numbers again, 0802-4000-911 or 0809-1121-911. Top of the morning to you.
Yes, good morning, my sister.
Yes, good morning. What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is Lugaman, calling from a chair.
All right, please go ahead.
Yes, I greet my incoming governor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Lugamani.
Yes, I so much thank you. You have spoken very well. You have spoken like a good leader. Among all the candidates jostling for Greek House, sir, you are the best. You are the best in the sense that you are a businessman and your business is flowing every day by day, and you have employed so many Rivers people. My question is, number one, sir,
yes.
As an incoming governor of Rivers State, are you going to line of the incumbent governor by constructing flyover in one city? One. My second question, you remember when Amechi was the governor? All his projects were all over the rural areas. Are you going to follow the footsteps of Governor Amechi by making sure that every nooks and crannies of Rivers State gets projects? Number two, my third question is, sir, as a Calabari man, we have what we call upland and riverine dichotomy. Please, are you going to make sure that Jumolulu Brig, business in Tubo, the one that is contesting for governor, are all jettisoned their ambition and support you as one person. Because I remember so many persons have come out in that club and argue.
All right,
and I believe they are coming out to be one to support your ambition. Thank you. Look at my committee.
Oh, thank you. I was going to call you already. Okay, please go ahead with the questions.
Awesome. Lukamani, thank you very much. 3 questions in one. You've taken 3 people's slot, but that's the wisdom in what you're doing. So the first has to do with flyovers in one city. And I think the best way to describe this is that each time you do a bridge, you should connect it to a place where development, it opens up development to other less disadvantaged places. So for me, what we will do is that we will connect places that are not connected today to other areas so that individuals, businesses, investments can be opened up to areas that would not have seen development. I remember that Abonima, where I come from, for many years did not have a bridge connecting it, and we used to go by boat to Abonima. Abonima's fortunes changed because a bridge was built between Degema and Abonima, and it changed the dynamics completely of that environment. If we have benefited from that, I think others should benefit as well. And so my model would be to connect different places. On rural areas development, again, it ties into the first question of my first answer. And I believe that if we just take it this way, River State is bigger than a one city state. It cannot be that the only city that we have in River State after 55 years is Port-Harcourt. I don't think it bodes well to us as leaders, as a people, that we cannot develop other cities within the state. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing, we'll be looking at developing, creating the base and developing a second or even a third city around theme cities. So it could be an entertainment city, it could be an internet city, but we will develop another city, let's just put it that way. And finally, upland riverine dichotomy. Most definitely, I'm talking to my brothers, and I know that as riverine Calabaris, we understand how valuable this project is to the Calabaris and to River State as a whole. We will stand together in the end. Just wait and see.
All right, let's take more calls. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. I can hear you.
All right, thank you so much for calling Classic FM. Please go ahead. What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
My name is Emmanuel, and I'm calling from GRA.
All right, let's keep our questions short and simple. Thank you.
All right. Please, can I go on?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. I really want to say good morning to architect Tonye Cole. And I want to say that really I'm interested the aspect he talks about human capital development. For someone that started business under 30, that means he knows what to do to the youth. So that's the area that I want to say that by God's grace you become governor. Please do your best to ensure that human capital development is given attention.
Absolutely.
Because what we're seeing in recent times, yes, projects are good, but when humans are not developed, we keep having people living or migrating from the state. But when we want to attract people, please let there be human capital development. And I know that you're equal to the task.
Thank you.
That's just my little contribution. Thank you, and I wish you the best in the forthcoming election.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Before we take...
That people are tired. They are fed up of poverty, and poverty has increased in the last 7 years. They are fed up of unemployment. Unemployment has been devastating. They are fed up of having to, as little you're from Ogoni, so you would understand this, comrade. I met a girl there called Varinoa. She's 18 years old, and she was telling me that in her auntie's farm, they farm there just outside Bori. And young boys come and they harvest their cassava before they're even able to harvest it themselves. And they go and sell it because they don't have jobs. So they're essentially stealing the harvest of their parents so that they can survive. What kind of society will develop that way? So you talk about theory. No, I'm not theory. I'm very hands-on. I go to places so that I can see exactly what we need to do, and then we make sure that we bring the kind of solution that is not just temporary, but much more long-lasting. And that's what we need to do. So lastly, comrade, this is not about me sitting down somewhere and providing solutions. No, this is about you and I working together to make sure that the solution is done. We as citizens of River State, yourself and I, must work together. Any kind of solution that does not involve you being active in it cannot work. It will fail. So let us make sure that we work together. If you are tired of River State the way it is, if you are tired of unemployment, if you are tired of poverty, if you are tired of people leaving the state and moving away, if you are tired of businesses being crushed, if you are tired of investments being hung and just being stalled because they are afraid of impunity and all of that, if you are tired of all of those things, then this is the place to be. Make sure that you work with me, because we have to work to change River State.
Okay, you can actually watch this interview. It's actually live on Facebook at Classic FM 911. Just head on to Facebook, Classic FM 911. You can watch it firsthand live. But yes, you can also drop in your comments or questions on our WhatsApp handle. It's 0704-4994-911. In due course, I would respond to all of the messages I see here. Well, moving on. Architect, agriculture is also key to our economy.
Absolutely.
And we have seen how...
Make sure you take the opportunities to the rural areas. You don't have to wait for them to come out. Leapfrogging enables you to do this, and leapfrogging through the technology base. You know, there's a fiber optic cable that goes across the Atlantic Ocean, all across Africa. So it's all across Africa. There's a node just outside of River State. To pull that fiber optics from River State, from the Atlantic into River State, will cost you $10 million. By 2024, that cable will be inside of River State. But guess what? To get to Port-Harcourt, right, it has to go through APC, it has to go through Sangama, it has to go through Kula, it has to go through Abonima, Degema, it has to come all the way, or go through Boni, depending on whichever one. What am I saying? You already have fiber optics that is passing through through the riverine communities before it gets into the upland communities, whether you're coming through Boni or you're coming through Abise, regardless. Which means that you already have the basis to keep people in rural areas with opportunities that fiber optics brings by connecting them to nodes all across the riverine communities before it comes into the upland. And once it gets into the upland, connecting it from the upland into Akwa Ibom, connecting it into Abia and other places. So you can actually cover River State because you have the means and the technology to do so. Once you do that, then urban-rural migration goes down in the first, because opportunities have now gone to meet them there. With that, it leads you to education. People go looking for schools, so they leave their rural areas because they want a better school, so they go to where education can do. If you have the right basis of technology, today education can meet you. First-class education can meet you where you are. You don't have to go out. I met a couple in Abuja a couple of weeks ago, and for the last year or thereabouts, year and a half, their children have been homeschooled in a school in America. In other words, they attend school online every day in America, here in Nigeria, and they are getting the first class. They come teachers, everything is done. So it's very possible for you to do this. You don't need to leave. You don't need that kind of issue or pressure to come in, but that's one end of it. Secondly, you can also create cities within senatorial districts that reduces the pressure of pulling people all the way into Port-Harcourt. And that's something we're definitely going to do. We must build new cities, not just rivers, not just Port-Harcourt, but we must build new cities.
So let me take you to the health sector now. That's another very vital area.
Lovely subject.
That's a vital area I want to talk about. What is your blueprint for health and, of course, education? That's merging two of them together.
So if you take health, right, there's a system with health, and that system essentially brings, you have the general hospitals, and you have secondary, tertiary, primary health. if you don't have all of these things put in place, you have an issue. But the key thing to all of this is the logistics and communications between, and how you do referrals between what happens at a primary health center to a secondary health and then tertiary health center and things like that. So this is critical. The good thing is that Rivers State actually had the infrastructure put in place for all of this. Okay, so government, politics and all of that came into play. But you actually have infrastructure. Now what you need are the doctors to make sure that the doctors stay and can do this. Technology, again, post-COVID has helped a lot, such that you can have referrals and you can actually have consultations with doctors that don't have to be in the room with you. This has happened and continues to happen even today. So where we were struggling before of getting a doctor that would decide to go and sit in a rural community because they cannot and they leave, they are just not there. You can actually bridge that gap with technology. Next, we need the logistics. There's all sorts of things. So delivery today, within the African space and all of that, and this is where the young people come into their own. They have developed delivery systems, right, of making inventory and delivering with drones to hard to reach places where medication can be dropped in using drones to drop medication in hard to get to places. So we have to mix technology. We have to mix the local knowledge we have. We have to mix the infrastructure that we already have in place to make all of these things work. But if you don't pay attention to to health in Rivers State, then we have a problem.
Okay, so let's head on to WhatsApp now. The first question here, I think you've sorted it out. He was asking, how would you create an atmosphere for young people in Rivers State to have an equal opportunity and fulfill their dream and hope not to resort to Yahoo or Ronsin or something. You talked about how to create employment for young people, so I'm going to let that one pass. This is coming from Soki Fubar. He says, please, I want architect Tonye Cole to create a modern thriving tourism around the riverine part of the state. We need a good modern river state. Our annual Canny Reef should be brought back. Waterfront communities in Port-Harcourt needs basic government infrastructure. It is sad most model schools and health centers are not sited at the waterfront. Basic development is the need in part of the state, and that's coming from Soki Fubara. And
I agree with Soki. All very valid points.
Okay. And Prince Will Banigo says he has 3 questions for you. The first question is, what are your plans towards the establishment of well-trained traffic agency, or will you bring back Timarif? And what will you do to reinstate those River State indigenous people that was disbanded by the present governor? I think we'll take it one after the other.
Okay. So, the beautiful thing about life is that there are solutions to all of this, and traffic lights, cameras that make sure that you don't break traffic lights and all of that provides manufacturing ability for people who are engineers and innovative and ready to do that. So the first thing, and this simple technology, is actually that traffic light technology is one of the simplest technology that you can develop. You don't need to import it. You can actually develop it. So I'm hoping and praying that the University of Science and Technology, Rivers State University of Science and Technology, will develop this. We need to be able to bring innovation into the universities and help our students begin to think right from being in school, how they provide solutions. I'm chairman of a group called Enactors. And Enactors is a student-led, it's a global program, but it's student university focused. And it helps university students compete, but by bringing solutions that are local to them. So they look at a problem, create the solution and all of that. And it's phenomenal. What I have seen Nigerian students come up with through this program has been phenomenal. And I believe that this is something that we can do. So that's a very easy thing to do. We definitely will do it, but we have to also localize it, because this is where you create industries. So you have electrical engineers that can create traffic lights very easily. And the components are all available. It's one of the simplest things to do, but you need the political will to make sure that it's done. So traffic management, traffic lights, we'll localize it.
All right, the second question is, Port-Harcourt to Bonny Sea has always been a no-go area due to sea piracy. What would you do to enable the people to travel to Bonny or coming to Port-Harcourt? What would you do to make them travel without fear?
So that's already a solved problem. It's a solved problem because the road from Bonny to Port-Harcourt, I think, will be completed by next year. So NLNG and federal government has been building that road, and so that's already a solved problem. Then
he said employment. You would recall that Right Honorable Amechi touched maximum number of youths in terms of employment in all sector, but this present administration has not done such. What is your plan towards that? I think
I've answered that.
Talked about that earlier on. This one says, what is Tonye Cole's plan for Rivers State Scholarship Board scholarship and bursary assistance? Kingsley Owanda is asking.
Kingsley, this has become a major problem for most students, and when you think about the underlying cause as to why people are demanding for bursaries and scholarship, the underlying cause is that how do I want to put this? I don't know any polite way of doing it, but I think poverty has just seriously increased. So people are no longer able to afford the most basic thing, which is education. And so now they have to depend on government completely for bursary, which puts huge pressure on the government if you have made sure that there is no middle class and almost everybody that you have is in lower class and in the poor sector. Then, of course, bursary then becomes important. So there are two ways to handle this. The first aspect of it is to make sure that people go to school and provide the means for them to go to school. That's the first one. But the second one, which is most important, is that you have to improve the lives of people. People have to create the opportunities for them to work, such that they have to increase the opportunities for them to work, so that with that, they don't have to depend so much on bursaries and scholarships for them to get the best education. Lastly, provide the kind of education environment that would enable them to do well. So we will do it.